Hey guys, Fire here, and thanks for joining me as I review Factory Escape. Factory Escape is a simplistic, kind of basic entry-level platformer, and over the course of my review, I'm going to be going over 3 distinct categories. We're going to talk about the gameplay, we're going to talk about the graphics, and we're going to talk about impressions. So we're going to start off with the gameplay here. So the gameplay is super simple and basic. You got 20 levels to play throughout the game, and it's going to be some basic platforming. You're kind of this guy who's looking for employment, I guess, or escaping his current job to get and become unemployed. The way the game works is you've got a couple of different platforming abilities under your repertoire, but you're not going to earn anything else along the way. You can press A to jump, double A to double jump, and then 3 A's to pull out a parachute. You can also roll to avoid enemies and spikes, and that's everything that you're going to be able to do over the course of the game. The levels start to ramp up a little bit, but quickly become repetitive, so you're not going to have to worry about too much. There's a couple things that get added within the game, but nothing that ever really makes anything super difficult. It's more just kind of grinding through these 20 levels. You're probably going to finish this game in about half an hour, and it's got a fairly easy achievement-based game. Now, let's talk about the graphics for a little bit. Visually, it's a kind of classic style platforming game that has an almost modern, nostalgic sheen to it. Does that make sense? There's a lot of brightness. It feels like you're in a almost polished steel environment, and the game features 2 distinct environments, no more, no less, as well as checkpoints along the way. I think visually the game's okay. I would like to see your characters have a little more detail in it, or maybe the option to, have different characters along the way as you're playing. But, it's kind of is what it is when it comes to the visuals and graphics of the game. I just wish there was a little more to it. It's very one-colored in the approach of how everything looks, and it just kind of feels like there wasn't a lot of effort put into the visuals of the game, outside of making it look like you're trapped in a steel box. You don't really get any interesting backgrounds where there's probably opportunities to make it look like you're going through different levels of a business or a building trying to escape. It's just kind of slashed lines and nothing more beyond that without the basic wall design and level system. I think they missed an opportunity to play a lot with how the levels and visuals of the games looked, just to add a little more touch and polish to the game. Not that it's bad, it's a very basic approach for a platformer, but I think there's some missed opportunities with how some of the visuals and graphics look. Now, let's dive into my overall impressions of the game. It's a very short game that is not going to give you a lot of stuff to do beyond your initial 30 minutes. You don't really have an incentive to go back to play anything. There's no speed running times. There's nothing that really pulls you back into wanting to play beyond just a quick little fix of a platforming game that doesn't really ramp up the levels into difficulty, more just adds more things along the way while you're playing that just kind of almost imitate difficulty. You don't get introduced to a whole lot of unique elements in the world that I would like to see in other platformers, and it's one of those things that I think that if they had that stuff within the game, it might just add a little extra touch and polish to the game. I understand it's probably on the cheaper end of price and more entry level for someone. It's not really going to be anything but beyond a simple, casual, quick grind for anybody who's super big into platformers. It's just one of those that if it had a little more, it would be, I think, a little better of a platformer. But beyond just 20 levels, which is very short, I would love to see at least 40 or 50 unique levels, because we're getting that a lot with other platforming games, and it leaves you just kind of feeling like something was left out of the game, or it was just quickly populated out. I know Old School Vibes has done some decent-esque games, and they do a lot of entry-level basic games, but I would love to see Old School Vibes start to dive into doing some more like meatier content. Like even if it was another 30 levels of kind of the same styled stuff, at least it would be a little more meat on the bone versus what you're kind of getting here with Factory Escape and just the initial 20 levels. Overall, I think it's okay. So that's kind of my thoughts and opinions. As always, please let me know what you think of my review down below in the comments. I appreciate you hanging out with me, and I hope to catch you in the next video.